apologize to you that I am angry. I think this is a tremendous waste of time. I think it's a tremendous waste of resources. I think that there are people that have died all throughout this state in a horrible flood, and that's the only thing that we should be focusing on. I had a whole list of questions here that you've rightly told others, well, we're not there yet. We're only going to discuss the rules. So I made a bunch of notes on the things that you've responded to and the things that you've said. So I think that that probably is relevant. We're going to stick to that if that's okay, to your comments. First thing you've said is that the governor put this on the call, and we have a constitutional duty, and we're constitutionally bound to come in here and do this because the governor said so. That's your answer, correct?
No, that's not correct.
Well, tell us what the answer is then.
What I tried to communicate was that in a special session, you cannot take up any subject except that which is put on the call. The longstanding tradition of the Texas Senate is if the governor puts something on the call, that we take that up and that this resolution is necessary for us to pursue that objective.
And if the governor put on a Senate redistricting, Texas Senate redistricting on the call, which he has not, if he put that, then you would do that too?
Yes.
If he put something that said, Phil, you're going to have to get yourself out of your district because it's racially gerrymandered one way or another, and we're going to write you out of that district, you would do that too?
Again, and that's why we're having a resolution that everybody gets to vote on. But I believe that if the governor puts something on the call, the long-standing tradition of the Senate has been to take those matters up. And because we do not have a redistricting committee, nor processes for it, nor complete processes for it, that's why we're considering this resolution today.
In his resolution, it only says that we will come in here to take up congressional redistricting. That's it. It doesn't say anything to what the Department of Justice letter said, that the previous congressional districts in Texas constitute unconstitutionally based racial gerrymandering. His call doesn't suggest that.
The call says what it says. I can read it again if you would like.
No, I don't need you to read it. It doesn't say this, does it?
Well, what it says is specifically legislation that provides a revised congressional redistricting plan in light of constitutional concerns raised by the U.S. Department of Justice.
What communications have you had with the Department of Justice?
None.
What communications have you had with the Trump administration?
None.
You know that after the 2021 redistricting, lawsuits were filed against the state of Texas for that redistricting. You're aware of that, correct?
Yes.
And you're aware that we were defended by, whom would we be defended by as a state? The Attorney General, correct?
Yes, I believe the Attorney General was the lead defense team in that lawsuit. I don't remember if there were interveners.
Who is the Attorney General?
The current Attorney General is Ken Paxton.
And Ken Paxton, in his response to those federal lawsuits, says there is no racial gerrymandering in the drawing of these congressional districts. Are you aware that that is what the Attorney General said?
I'm aware of what the defendants' pleadings have presented, that there was no, that the maps were in all things legal.
I'm not so sure if the defendant's pleadings.
Well,
the defendant
I'm
being
sorry,
the Attorney
I didn't answer
General.
that very well. Let me try again.
Yeah.
I haven't read all the plaintiff's pleadings. I haven't read all the defendant's pleadings. I am generally aware of the defense. I know that the maps that I voted on, I believe to be completely legal. I believe that has been the position of the Attorney General's office as they have defended the case.
Yeah.
That the maps drawn by Senator Huffman and voted on by the body were completely legal at the time of the vote.
4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. So the pleadings were signed by Ken Paxton, were they not?
I presume they were. I don't know. They may have been signed by one of his assistant AGs.
They were. And I will not impugn Senator Huffman's character because she stood up here over and over and said there was no race. I see you're smiling. I'm serious.
Well, I don't know.
It's the Jeff Epstein files. I see you're smiling. I'm serious.
Well, I don't know anything about the Epstein files. All I know is I read the DOJ letter. I read the response filed by the Office of the Attorney General. And I also read the court order that came out saying they're not going to reopen at this time. And beyond that, I have no personal knowledge of any facts behind that DOJ letter.
Okay. So you believed that you voted in 2021 when you were a House member on legitimate congressional maps that did not consider race as any kind of underlying factor. Senator Huffman testified to the same thing. As much as I tried to get her to argue in a different direction or to respond in a different direction, as much as I'm sure colleagues of mine in the House, former colleagues of mine and yours, probably tried to get you to go there, those were the maps that were voted on. They were legitimate and legal maps, and suddenly we're here because the DOJ has asked us to be here, alleging that there was some kind of reverse gerrymandering.
Well, as I stated earlier, in 2021, we considered House, Senate, Congressional, and then also but in 2023, we did not do the Congressional.
We did in 21.
We did it in 2020. We did Congressional in 2021, but not in 2023.
That's right. And in 2021, you voted in favor of those congressional maps.
Yes.
Because you said just now, you just told us that you felt that those maps were fair and just within the Voting Rights Act. They were race neutral, and there was no indication of race bias one way or another. That's why you voted for those maps.
I would not have intentionally voted for a map if I did not think it was a legal map.
You thought it was a legal map, not an illegal map, a legal map. I'm getting a little hard of hearing.
Yes, I would not have voted. I have never voted for any map that I did not believe was a legal map in my 27 years.
Right.
3 regular redistricting cycles and now 5 special sessions on redistricting.
Right. So you said it was a legal, L-E-G-A-L map. She forwarded a legal map to us. And those are the maps that passed that House and this Senate. And now we have a rogue DOJ sending us some BS letter that all of a sudden they're not. You fashion yourself. I've always known you. I've known you now for almost 20 years, believe it or not. It's amazing how time flies. You still look good, me not so much. 20 years has passed. And I've always known you for being a states' rights kind of guy. Is that a fair statement?
I believe in the constitutional doctrine of federalism, but again, what we're here today for is to talk about this resolution that's before us.
Yeah, I'll get to that in just a second. You think this is a federal overreach?
I don't have an opinion on that.
You don't have an opinion on that. Let's talk about the rules. Us being here costs the state of Texas taxpayers money, right?
Yes, being here for all the items on the special session, there's always a cost when we're here.
No doubt. And for me, the thing that I want to do here most, I'm not on that committee, is the flood relief, the disaster preparedness, the things that impacted Senator Flores' district so much, and so many of our constituents from all over this state that were there and lost their lives and lost children. That's why I'm here. But now we're talking about this. And because we're talking about the rules, I think Senator Blanco did this incredible job. And then you followed up with something. I know someone's going to put an amendment on this, You said that you want to make this as equally as transparent as the work that was done by Senator Huffman. That's exactly what you said just now, right?
Yes, I thought she did a great job.
I thought so too. I may not have disagreed with the outcome, but I thought so too. 12 regional hearings. 12 regional hearings, as was just illustrated to us by Senator Blanco. In order for us to have an equal and transparent type of process as we did back in 2021, it seems to me like we should have 12 regional hearings in this state. What do you say?
Again, I think that the virtual hearings are much more open to the public than anything we have ever done in-person hearings.
Right.
But we'll play it by ear and we'll move forward and we'll continue to have hearings as long as it seems to be productive
Yeah, you
toward
said
the objective of the committee.
Yeah, you said that earlier. You said that I've often thought that people would complain, that they can't get parking. They can't get parking at the universities. I don't think Senator Huffman had that problem. I don't think there was I never heard that there was a parking problem. And as far as us having these virtual hearings, because you think that that's just more transparent, Senator, well, then why the hell are we here? Let me just do this at home in my underwear. That'd be better for me.
It wouldn't be better for us.
Well, that's fair. I promise to keep my hands above the desk. But let's be very clear. We're here because transparency calls for us to be here in person and to hear from witnesses and to hear testimony in person and be able to cross-examine them one way or another. And you'd rather have people sit in a queue and get kicked off that queue digitally, as often happens. As often happens because, let me tell you something, Senator. I represent more counties than you do. 14. And the vast majority of them off in West Texas, along with Senator Blanco, where the internet's not so great. We have a lot of work to do yet still in this building. And sometimes you're sitting there on a Zoom and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting, and all of a sudden the internet goes off, and then you can't get back on the damn Zoom. And yet you think that's more transparent. You think that giving somebody hours to wait online is just more transparent, so they don't have to pay for parking, I guess. Is that your testimony?
I think you have to weigh that against how difficult it is for someone to drive from far West Texas or far East Texas, take a day or two off work, find childcare for their kids, and to participate in an in-person. And even if we go to regional, there's 254 counties in the state of Texas. The majority of the people in the majority of counties are still going to have to travel a substantial distance to be able to go to those in-person hearings. Yeah. Again, we also will be all of the hearings on any bill when we get to that substantive point. All of the hearings on any bill will not only be online, but they will be in person here at the Capitol, as all bills in the normal course of business of the Senate, as all bills are considered.
Senator, I'm about to wrap up here. Far be it from me to agree with anything that the Attorney General has ever had to say. But he said that there was no racial determination in determining those districts in 2021, and he said that in the lawsuit. Senator Huffman said it, and you said it. And so why the hell are we here? Because you have yet to answer that very basic question, other than the fact that the Department of Justice, that won't even show us the Jeff Epstein files, has asked us to be here. So thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. President.